Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sharaya Maurice, and today I am sharing how I plan our homeschool day. So my last video, I took you through the process of how I plan out our homeschool week. And towards the end of that video, I was getting down into using that information about our week to apply to how I plan out our homeschool day. So this video, I'm going to break that process down for you as well. A few of you said that my last video really helped you, and so I thought I would take that one step further and show you my process for how I plan out and schedule our homeschool day. Now, this is just a framework, and these plans that I make are really fluid, and I allow for life to happen. And so the framework that I plan out and what I'm showing you is really just like the structure, like the guide. So in a perfect world, this is how our day would go. But in reality, it works out a lot differently, of course. And so the first thing that I do is I pull out my Ambleside Online, I don't know what you call this, the Ambleside Online for year 2, the curriculum, essentially. And this has all of our subjects. I actually did a whole video on how I organize this, the things that I pick and choose, and how I set it up in this template based on what Ambleside Online offers online. So I'll link that video for you as well. But these are essentially all of the subjects that we need to cover. So for most of our Ambleside Online stuff, it's included in our morning basket. So for our homeschool day, this is pretty much what I do. So the first thing I do is just break down our rough day, and then from there, I'll break down each component to our day. So we start with breakfast, and while we're having breakfast, we have our Bible time. And then I'll just, rough draft the rest of the school day. We'll have Bible time, we'll have our nature walk, we'll have our morning basket, then we'll do our core lessons. We'll have free play before we have lunch, and then after lunch, we'll have quiet time, and then quiet time is also nap time for my youngest. And then when she wakes up from her nap, we'll have some other things that I've planned that aren't necessarily school. And I don't put times either. So like I write down our day, but I don't actually put a time next to it. I just like a general, routine of this is the next thing that we do on our list. What time it is irrelevant for us. And now, like I said, our Ambleside Online subjects are what pretty much encompasses our morning basket. So this is where I will look and see what our morning basket is going to consist of based on our Ambleside Online curriculum. So I go through here, and so I see that we have a scripture, character, we need term artist, composer, we're going to be studying Shakespeare, we're reading Parables of Nature, we're going to start Little Pilgrim's Progress, Understood Betsy is our literature book, and then we'll be singing folk songs and hymns. We'll have poetry time, we're going to read Burgess' Animal Book, and then we'll have some recitations. And so all of this is pretty much, I have to fit all of this into morning time. Now, it's not all going to fit, of course. So this is where I break down each section and how we do it. So like for our Bible time, the things that I include in there, I kind of work it out in my mind. It's like its own little morning basket or Bible basket or whatever. And so we always start our school day or our day in general with Bible time during breakfast. And so I don't really consider that school, just because for me, Bible time isn't schoolwork. It's more of a way of life, spending time with Jesus, right? And so I want to still instill that in my kids, as though it's not a subject to get done in school, but something that we pursue outside of school time for the pleasure of it. And so we start our day with breakfast and Bible time. And so for breakfast, I gather all of the things that we're going to be doing for our Bible time. So we're going to have our Bible reading. We're going to be doing some recitations, some poetry and things to memorize. We're going to be reciting the doxology, for example. And then we're also going to be studying catechism question and answers. And so I'll include that in our Bible time as well. And then we may do a devotional, we may not. I haven't decided particularly, but that's 5 things that I've listed for our Bible time. And I've ordered it based on working different brain parts, because we're sitting down for breakfast here. So the first thing we'll do is we'll recite the doxology, because that's something that we can practice memorizing. You know, we can use our mouths to speak and think about and memorize what it is we're saying, and that'll set our hearts up for praising the Lord as we get into his word, which is Bible reading is the next plan. And I follow Ambleside Online's Bible reading plan for that as well. So then after that, so the kids are listening to our Bible reading story. Then after that, we're going to have our recitations. And so I have I don't have it with me, but I have a packet of material that I want my kids to memorize over the course of the school year. And so we'll just pull that out and we'll work on it one by one. Once we know one, we'll learn another one and review the last one, and then just keep that process going. And so again, that's working different things where we were reciting and then we were listening, and now we're reciting, and then we're going to listen and recite with our catechism, because I want to discuss the catechism concepts like who made you, God made me, and where it talks about that in the Bible. And so we'll probably read that. And so we're working like two different parts of our brain here for that, to memorize it, but also to listen and learn. And then the last thing would be a devotional where they would just be listening. And so this really doesn't take much time at all, but that's a specific thing that I broke down within our homeschool day. After that, we will be discussing our catechism during our Bible time, but when breakfast is over and we're doing cleanup, I plan to play some catechism songs to help reinforce the memorization of the catechism question and answers that we're studying. And then we'll have our nature walk, and then my mind will be focused on bringing in what we're supposed to be learning through Ambleside Online during our nature walk, but they don't know anything about that. I'm the one that's leading it, and they're just enjoying the nature walk. So that's another thing that I really like, is that they don't necessarily know that they're learning, but I'm guiding them in that discovery process, which is really fun for me. And so then when we get back from our morning walk, then we'll have our morning basket. And so then this is where I break down what we're going to include in our morning basket. And so we kind of have a big morning basket this year. I've done a video where I've shared our Ambleside Online inspired morning basket, and I did a mix between a block and a loop schedule, and that worked really well for us last year. It was a lot for me to keep up with, and having reviewed our past school year and kind of seeing what worked and what didn't, it worked overall. I mean, we were successful in reading all of the material and enjoying morning time and such like that. But for me personally, I just didn't like to have to keep up with that. I like things that are just really, simple and straightforward and right in front of me and ready to go. And so that kind of schedule that I put in place just wasn't what I wanted it to be. So I've decided that I'm going to shorten our morning basket, but I'm also outsourcing other things. So here's what I mean. For morning basket, the first thing I want to do during that time is to spend some quality time with my youngest. She's been asking to do lessons, and so I really just want to, give her some special one-on-one time first thing before school technically starts. School starts for us with morning basket. So I plan to do some picture books with her and read some simple Mother Goose stories, like maybe one picture book and 1 or 2 Mother Goose rhymes or something like that. So that'll be just me and her lap time together, and my older 2 will get their morning time boxes ready to go. That's the things they like to do to keep their hands preoccupied while I read to them during our morning basket. So then after that one-on-one time with my youngest, then I will start our morning basket with my older 2, and my youngest will do whatever she likes to do during that time. It's been just keeping her busy has been a challenge, but you got to work with it when you homeschool more than one kid. So we're going to be covering Shakespeare, Parables from Nature, our Burgess Animal Book, Little Pilgrim's Progress, and doing our character study. Now, all of this, I realize, is a lot of just me reading aloud. And our character study is not necessarily reading aloud, though I do have some short stories, but mostly it's, discussion on our character study. So I've decided to include our CC memory work into morning basket. Now, not all of it though, because this was the problem that I ran into last year with our morning basket. Since we had so much in our morning basket to do each day, our CC memory work actually got pushed out a lot. And so that's one thing that I'm trying to rein back in for this coming school year, is to just really make sure that we continue to review that material. We did really well for a while of just including it in morning basket and starting our morning basket with the review for our CC memory work. But like I said, with Ambleside Online readings, I felt that pressure to get to the reading so that we could complete it, and we did, but of course CC memory work suffered. So to kind of help balance that out, I'm going to include a few subjects to review in our morning basket to kind of break up the simply just reading aloud components, which pretty much encompasses all that our morning basket is right now. So for example, we'll start with Shakespeare, and then I'm going to review the Latin memory work. And then that way they're kind of actively involved. We're gonna sing a song, and that will kind of break up the sitting and listening portion of our morning basket. Because then once we go from our Latin memory work, I'll read from Parables from Nature, and that's a sitting and listening. But then once that's over, we'll break it up with reviewing our science memory work. So we're gonna kind of go back and forth between our memory work and our read alouds until we get through the morning basket books. But also I'm going to put these books and things on a loop so that we never really get behind, and we can get to all of the things, but we can still keep breaking up the things, and then we get daily review of our memory work. So that will be our morning basket. And then for our core lessons, those usually happen right after our morning basket. And that is just me juggling both kids and their lessons. So usually what I've done in the past, and what I'll probably continue to do, is I'll have one-on-one time with my oldest while my two girls play. They have their special sister time. And so they'll go off and play together. And then when my son and I are done with his lessons, then I'll call in my other daughter, and my son will go play with my youngest, and they'll have their special brother-sister time. And so then they can do that. And that's pretty much how I've been doing our core lessons, as I call them, our reading, writing, and math. And so pretty much that's just 2 things each day for both of my kids. They just take turns so that I can get to both of them. Now, I obviously have not gotten to everything listed in my Ambleside Online subjects. So I did not include the artist or the composer in our morning basket, nor did I include our folk song or hymns. So I've had to get kind of creative with this, because I did not do artist or composer last year at all. I just felt like it was too much. And it was my first time with Ambleside Online, and so I just didn't think that I could get to all of it. And I'm still thinking that I might not be able to, but I do want to study those things, because I think that they're worthwhile for my children and myself to be exposed to beautiful art and music and all that. So I want to include it. So I'm going to try my best this year, and I'm going to do that in an outside time. So I've shared about how I've included poetry tea time. I think I've included poetry tea time. If I haven't, last year I implemented poetry tea time, and we do it once a week on Monday afternoons. And it's something to look forward to after starting our school week, something to look forward to in the afternoons to finish out our school day. And that's after nap time. We will have a special treat or snack, and we will read some poetry. And it's very simple. And I've just been reading out of a book, A Year of Poetry Tea Time. I can't remember the author, but I'll link the book down below. I read it off of my Kindle, so it's super simple, and I think it was free on Kindle. I'll link all of that for you if you're interested. And we just enjoy poetry during poetry tea time. If I get to all of the poems during that time, then great. If I don't, then no big deal. At the end of the school year, I was reading like 2 poems, and then the kids were done with their snacks and they were ready to move on. But I'm like, okay, you know what? They're getting exposed to a little bit, and that's fine. So that's where our poetry by Walter de la Mare from Ambleside Online's schedule will come in. We'll do poetry tea time once a week, Monday afternoons. So I'm taking that same concept and I'm applying it to our artist and composer study. And so I'm calling it our art afternoon. And that will be on Thursday afternoons. Is that what I put? Yep, Thursday afternoons we'll do music and art. And so we'll have the same kind of concept. We'll have special treats and we'll listen to great music and we'll study great artists and maybe even practice some of the techniques that we have learned about from the artists that we're studying. So I'm excited about that concept. That way it's just once a week. I'm not overwhelmed by doing that like every single day or every other day, but I can really, spend the time to focus on that subject, but not feel like it's overwhelming. So hopefully that will work out. I'll let you know how it goes, but I'm pretty optimistic that it's going to go well. So that's how we're including our artist and composer study. So that is actually back to my weekly plans where I plug in those special times into our day in the afternoons. And then for our hymns and our folk songs, I'm actually including those in just random areas. Like before we have breakfast, when my kids are getting ready for the day, I plan to play the hymns throughout our house before breakfast. That way we can praise the Lord, we can learn our new hymn, and we can get ourselves ready for Bible time. And then in the afternoon, after lunch, I plan to play our folk songs as they're cleaning up the post-lunch mess. So that's how we're gonna squeeze in our folk songs into that, into our day. And then I usually let my kids break and play after so I can prepare lunch after our core lessons. And so I plan to have during lunch, we did this last year, I'm just gonna continue it, and do every other day history and geography studies during lunch. So usually for history, I'm reading, and that's gonna be on a loop as well. And because we have actually like 3 different books, we have 4 different books for history. So we have Child's History of the World, Trial and Triumph, An Island Story, and The Little Duke. Those are all our history books. So those are gonna be on a loop for our history days. So we have history 2 days a week, and then we have geography 2 days a week. So geography is easier to handle, so that won't be a problem, but it's just getting through the history readings, which is the challenge. But I'm going to break up those readings like I talked about before, so it's not just all auditory. They can also be, vocalizing some of the stuff. That's where I'll include our history and geography CC memory work review. So before I read a history, we will review our CC memory new grammar for history. And then likewise for geography, before I read for geography, we'll review our CC memory work for geography. And then they can listen to the geography story or the history story and then narrate from there. So that's how we handle Ambleside Online history and geography. And then we have quiet time after lunch, and pretty much that wraps up our day. Now, the only thing that we include in the afternoons, which I kind of call like bonus school, but I don't really technically consider it school, would be our poetry tea time and our art afternoons. And those are just for fun, really, and not that they're less prioritized, but in my mind, when we're working out our school day, we're done by lunch. So it makes me feel better about it. So I think that is pretty much everything. I just go through and I make sure that I've included all of our subjects. I do plan to read our literature book to my son before bed. We used to have a different bedtime routine because we all had one room, and so I'd pray for them all at the same time, and then I'd sing for them all at the same time, and then they'd go to sleep. But now that they're in 2 separate rooms, we do that for my girls, but my big boy, he gets to go to bed a little later, and I'm going to move one of our read-alouds to evening time, and that'll be our literature. So I'm going to be reading Understood Betsy to him before bed each evening, and that'll give me about 30 minutes of read time with him, and we can squeeze in some more reading there. So planning the homeschool day is, sometimes it takes a little bit of, navigating and shifting things around and like squeezing things in. But overall, I pull it together. And so in a perfect world, this is how our day would go. But like I said, we're probably not going to get to all of this stuff. And if the only thing that I get to each and every day is our CC memory work and our core work, which is reading, writing, and math, then I'm happy. It's been a good day. And to be honest, most of the time, that's how our days go, where we get the core work done and we get our CC memory work. Anyways, that is how I plan our homeschool day. It's just a matter of working with Ambleside Online's subjects together with our core work of reading, writing, and math, and plugging it into the routine that we naturally have in place. We always have to have breakfast. We always have to eat lunch. We always have quiet time. Those are anchors to our day. I've talked about them before in, planning out your homeschool day or homeschool week. Those are our anchors. And so then what happens before and after those times is how I plan out the routine for our day. So I don't have any time frames here, but I do know that nap time or quiet time happens at 1 p.m. So usually I just plan to have everything done by 1 p.m. And then whenever my daughter wakes up from her nap, that's when we'll have our poetry tea time or our afternoon if it's a Monday or a Thursday. So anyways, that is our homeschool day and how I plan it. I hope that all made sense for you. And if you have any questions, of course, leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer or elaborate on any concept that you might not have understood. I hope I was clear. It is kind of confusing to incorporate Ambleside Online because that's a lot, and then to also include your reading, writing, and math, and then anything else like CC, classical conversations, memory work, and stuff. So this is how I have done it and how it works for me. It worked for me overall last year, and so that's why I'm just plugging in our new stuff into this year and going from there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on that little bell icon so that you can be notified of my newest videos, and I will see you in the next one.